What's going on, everyone? Today we have a new segment called
Hot comics.
and in this segment, we're going to go over 5 hot books that I think you should pick up right now. These books are either heating up at the moment or are going to be heating up even further when future things start happening. Now, I think all of this is going to pertain to things that will be happening in the MCU, whether it's movies, TV shows, or just pure speculation. We don't really know, but we have a hint of an idea that it's going to be happening sometime in the near future. We're going to start off with Marvel Point One. Now, this is the first appearance of both Sam Alexander, Nova, and Kane, the Scarlet Spider. Now, Kane's probably a bit more iffy if we'll ever get a Kane in the MCU. It's possible, though. So it's nice to have that as a little backup. But Sam Alexander Nova, that's a good one. And that's mainly just based off of the fact that we've heard a lot of talk from Kevin Feige saying that he would like to put Nova into the MCU at some point. So, we could get Guardians of the Galaxy. That could be a good spot for him. And it might, or it could be a different movie later on down the future. Not really sure. That'd be my guess if I had to think what movie he was going to pop up in. Especially, with the Nova Corpse being there. But, hard to say at the moment. Now, this is the cover A. There is this cool Nick Bradshaw wraparound cover that is actually a little bit more. The first cover goes for about $30 right now. You can get the wraparound cover for about $50. I'm not exactly sure. It might have something to do with it being a shorter print run and just harder to get. Something like that. I don't really know, but it's a bit pricier and harder to find. On the topic of even more expensive versions, there is the 1 in 100, which is the sketch variant of the wraparound cover, and you can get that for about $100. So whichever cover you choose, 30, 50, 100-ish, if you can find a better deal, find a better deal. That is the whole idea. Hit up your comic shops, find those little nooks and crannies where these good little jewels are hiding. But whichever cover you can pick up will be a better cover whenever we do get Sam Alexander. And moving on to the second book, we have Werewolf by Night, number 4. And I'm sorry, this is Marvel Spotlight 4, Werewolf by Night. Now, this is the first appearance of the Darkhold. It is also the third appearance of Werewolf by Night, which is pretty cool. If you're a Werewolf by Night fan, it might be something cool. That's getting progressively harder to say as I keep saying it. But this book's a little trickier. You can get it for $100-ish, but keep in mind this is a very old book. I think it came out in the 70s. So the condition's going to be a big thing on this one. You have, a lot of these books are going to be mid-grades. Some of these books are going to be very low grades. It's going to be hard to find it in a very good condition. With that in mind, when you have books that old, people are willing to get lower grades. You know what I mean? They're not going to be like, oh, if it's not a 9.8, I don't want it. Not sure, you might have a couple people like that, but I'm sure there's not even that many 9.8s of this book that even exist. But myself, I have a copy of this, and I'm hoping to, it's getting clean pressed and graded, and I'm hoping to get maybe a 5, maybe a 6 if I'm lucky. That'd be awesome. But even at a 5 or something like that, if you can get a 6 or 7, that's pretty good. Now, like I said, if you're not too familiar with being able to look at a copy of a raw book and guess, I'm not great at it myself, but just try to get, the less wear and tear that you can. If you're just looking on pictures on eBay, on this book in particular, any book, but this book in particular, make sure, if they only have one picture of the book, I wouldn't even bother with it, because the back could be completely destroyed for all you know. It can be hard to just tell what you're getting just looking at one picture. So, look for the least amount of color breaks. Check that spine. Look up and down for nicks in that. Look for bends. Now, granted, like I said, you're probably going to get some. If it's a modern book, if it was the Marvel Point One, if it had a crease in it, I'd say forget that thing. Unless you got it for $1, I'd say forget that thing. But if it's Spotlight number 4, yeah, you're going to get some creases. You're going to get some big spine ticks and color breaks. Unless you're really lucky. But, yeah, that book right now, with it being first Darkhold, it's already heated up a lot. Don't get me wrong. And like I said, you still find it for about $100. I can't remember how. I think I paid like 70 for mine, but I got it like a bit earlier. Um, but I mean, as soon as it comes back into the MCU, we know we're not done with the Darkhold. It's coming back. So as soon as it does, and it depending on what they do with it, depending on how much they really lean into showing off the Darkhold and how cool it becomes in the MCU, it just has potential to be a really, really big book. Like I said, this book came out in the 70s, I'm fairly positive. And it's not the easiest thing to find. It's Marvel Spotlight number 4. Moving on to the next one, though, we're going to do Miss Marvel number 1. Now, this isn't her first appearance. That's a very expensive book. The point of this series is books that, people can reasonably afford right now, and hopefully pick up books that that will become something. Not, it's not going to be your Spider-Man 1 and X-Men 1. It's not going to be those kind of big, huge books, but something that, you can double your investment, triple your investment, stuff like that. So Miss Marvel number 1. This is the first solo run of Miss Marvel, and a pretty cool cover. So when you're looking at it, what people are collecting, obviously the first appearances are going to be huge. First cover appearances, if it's the same book or if it's like the book after, those are going to be huge books. But if they're really old and really hard to get for your average, a consumer, and once those prices get unreachable, people will go to like the first solo series. Like, this is fine. This is the next best thing. And right now, it's pretty affordable. The main cover A, first print, is about $100. Again, pretty okay. I'm sure if you're getting into comics, it's gonna be pricey. But again, these are books that I think have a good, solid investment. We know Kamala Khan is coming in the MCU. She's getting her own TV show. So this book will pop up. I'm like, it's already, seeing steady little increases. Most of these books are seeing steady little increases, so the longer you wait, the more expensive it will be. Now, sure, you might get lucky later. Check your local comic shops. Not only just for, you to get good deals, but it's also good to check out your local comic shops. I highly advocate it. I feel like a lot of people don't go into their own local stores. There's a lot of cool little things hiding around. You might find something. You might be looking for one thing and find something else entirely. But this book also has a lot of variant prints. I'm not going to go over all of them. They're about $50 to $60, and they're pretty much the same thing. They're sketch versions with color here, not color there, different colors there. Same rough thing. I think it goes up to like 7th printing, but they're all relatively about the same in price. So if there's one in particular that you like the way it looks, or you like that color or whatever, go ahead and try to grab that one. Or if you just happen to stumble upon any of these for a relatively good price, you can go ahead and grab that one. I think this is a solid investment book. It should be one that pops up pretty well once that show hits. But, pick these books up now. Don't wait too long. Don't be the person that waits until Miss Marvel comes out. You love Miss Marvel. You're like, oh man, this is such a good show. I didn't know I was going to like it so much. And now I'm a huge fan. I want to get Miss Marvel number 1. Well, too bad. It's a $200 book now, $300 book, whatever, whatever it's going to be. It's hard to say. It's going to depend on various factors, including just how good the show is and whatnot. But moving on to Iron Man 282. This is the first War Machine cover. Now, granted, keep in mind, there's a lot of different books you can pick for this. If you're trying to get in that Armor Wars hype. Now, granted, we saw Don Cheadle for a brief moment so far in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So he might even pop up in there, which might make his books start to pop up. Now, keep in mind, though, this is not... I was going to say Don Cheadle. This is not Rhodes. This is Tony Stark in the War Machine armor, but it's the first cover appearance of the War Machine armor, and in my opinion, one of the... it's just such a beautiful cover. I really struggled to pick... there's a lot of good books. You have first War Machine cover, you have first appearance of War Machine armor, but it doesn't show it on the cover, and it's fine. It's a cool book if you want to get that one too, just not the one I would particularly choose over this one, at least. You have War Machine #1, which is a much cheaper title and a cool foil as well. You have first appearance of Rhodes. Now that's going to be a much more expensive book. But then you have first time Rhodes uses the War Machine armor, but I think he still calls himself Iron Man at that point. And then you have the first time he's referred to as and he uses the code name War Machine. So there's lots of different books, but in my opinion, this is just the most beautiful cover. Out of all of them, this is the most beautiful cover. One that I picked this book up forever ago. You can see it somewhere back there. I think it's that book right there. Absolutely love it. Huge Iron Man and War Machine fan here. It's just a great book to have. But that being said, with Armor Wars rolling around, this is about a $100 book right now. I can easily see this going much higher. I think this is Wiasek is his last name. I might be pronouncing that wrong. I'm not sure. He also has, on one of my other slabs, he does the artwork for Man-Thing. Man-Thing Volume 2, #1, I think is what it is. And I'm a big fan of his work. I also, that foil cover as well, if you ever check that one out, that's a Wiasek as well. So I'm a big fan of this artist. I really like the style that he has. I love the spray paint over the Iron Man title, and it says War Machine. Super solid book. I think this is going to be one of the definitive picks for people. Like, even though it's not Rhodes, if you're gonna be a big fan of War Machine, this is a book you want up on your wall or shelf or wherever you display your slabs. Last book we're gonna do is Ultimate Fallout 4. Now this one is very expensive, I know, and we're talking about cheaper books, not pricier books, books that you can invest in now, and get a good bang for your buck later on. With that being said, this book's going for about $500 raw, and I know that's very pricey, but I will say, if you do get it, it is only going to go up even further with things like Spider-Verse #2 coming out. I'm sure that's going to see an increase in this book. And then if we ever get Miles in the actual MCU, this has huge potential to just be a ridiculous book. Now, if you don't have $500 just laying around, willing to throw into a comic that will be expensive in a year from now, you have other options. There are 2 second printings, one of which looks almost the same. It's almost the exact same cover. The title is no longer over his face, and the shadow has been lifted off his face, so you can see that it's Miles. And this book has been picking up a lot of heat lately because as that first print is getting more and more expensive and out of the reach of, lower end consumers, they're going to start going to the next thing. And this is the next thing. This is, like I said, almost the exact same cover. Second printing. People like second printings. Not as much as first printings, unless there's something special about it, unless it's a super limited run or something. But I picked this book up myself. I happened to find it for $100. So my buddy actually here, somebody that goes up to the shop that I work at, talking to him, and he picked up one for $125. So you can still find this book for a reasonable price. Even if you pick it up for $200, as long as it's in really good condition, I think that's a good buy right now. It's a super solid book. The other second printing, with a variant cover, this one's completely different. Cool cover though. I do really like the cover. But this one's going for about $200, roughly as well. And I think either book is a solid investment. This is the most expensive on the list so far, but I think it's just been seeing steady increases for a little while now, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping. Like I said, Spider-Verse 2, I'm sure this book is going to see a huge spike, or at least a decent spike. Maybe not a huge spike, and maybe it is a huge spike, I don't know, but at least a decent spike. And then if he ever comes into the MCU, which there's little seeds, there's little seeds. We got Donald Glover, that is, what's his name, Prowler, that's his uncle, I think, yeah. And I think I have to go back and rewatch the movie, but I think he says something. Yeah, he's like, I want the streets safe for my, I want these weapons off the streets. I gotta a little nephew out there, or something like that, something along those lines. So they planted seeds for Miles already. It might be coming up sooner than we think. It might be a few more movies. It could be Spider-Man 3. It could be. There's a rumor for every character that ever existed for Spider-Man 3. So it's a little hard to say, but it's possible. So I think if you can find this book, check out the condition on all of these books to see how much you're going to pay. If the one I had has a little corner ding, so it's not too bad. I think it's going to come back a pretty good grade still. It just looks like it just got dinged in the corner just a little bit. Just a little, not too bad, but I only paid $100 for it. So I don't feel too bad. I know it's not going to be a 9.8. I'm hoping a 9.4. We'll see. But I have to double check the spine again and make sure everything looks good on there. I'm pretty sure it does. But, obviously the higher the grade, the better. But I'm happy to have the copy regardless. Very, very cool book. One of a few Hispanic characters, even though he's only half, that's cool for me. I got my Robbie Reyes, my first Robbie Reyes, the 1 in 25 variant, which is one of my favorite books of all time. But now I also got Ultimate Fallout 4, second printing, and I'm happy with that. We're going to be back again doing something. I'm going to pick 5 different books for this next week. And I'm going to keep doing this, I think, every week unless I just really either, I don't know, just can't find anything else. It's like the books, you have them all now. I've gone over them all. But even, I'm sure there's going to be, new shows, new movies, new stuff being talked about. So there'll be new things that are heating up. But the idea is to stay ahead of the game. And I'm going to try to help you do that. I'll also be here Wednesday with my new comic pools for the week. And I don't remember what's coming out, so it's going to be a surprise to us both. I hope this has been helpful and insightful. Like I said, go check out your local comic shops. If you enjoyed this video, if I helped you gain any knowledge at all, please leave me a like, maybe a subscribe, maybe a crumb of your love and affection. But I will see you next time. Goodbye for now. Ha 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 ha!